The quality of the Persona franchise speaks for itself. With numerous titles under its belt in its near 30-year history, Atlus has been releasing banger after banger of Persona games, and with more remakes like Persona 4 Revival, and maybe some remasters of the first two Persona games coming hopefully in the near future, along with Persona 6 in the distant future, I figured now might be a good time to look at the many Persona spin-off games that have released over the years. With Persona 5 The Phantom X tearing up the charts and it being the first free-to-play Persona game, you better believe that this game is in here, but just how good is it? Well, you'll just have to watch on and find out. With about a dozen Persona spin-offs out there, there's plenty of games to invest our time in while we eagerly await the next mainline entry. It's time, good people, to look back at the various spin-off games that graced the Persona name, ranking them from worst to best. A few things out of the way before we begin. In my opinion, none of these spin-off titles are bad. While they may not reach the heights of the mainline series, these spin-offs are all quality titles that any Persona fan should check out. So when I say worst Persona spin-off, I simply mean compared to the rest, these lower ranking games aren't quite as solid as the rest. Also, there is one game that I will not be ranking here, that game being Persona 3 Aegis The First Mission, simply because I haven't played it yet. For those who have played it, let us all know how it is in the comments, but everything else is fair game here, including the recently released Persona 5 The Phantom X. From the dancing spin-offs, fighting games, 3DS titles to the recent Persona 5 spin-offs, consider this list a thorough collection of Persona spin-offs that we're ranking here. Also, since this is my own opinion, and we all have opinions of our own, feel free to rank them yourself and share your rankings and thoughts with us in the comments. Bringing up the rear, we have both Persona 3 Dancing in Moonlight and Persona 5 Dancing in Starlight. While they may be rounding up the spots for last place, these two rhythm games are really fun, and your mileage may vary here depending on if you enjoy the rhythm game genre and if you like both these games' soundtracks. Because they are essentially the same game, just featuring the characters, locations, and songs of their respective games individually, there is no clear winner here. It all comes down to your preference of whether you like Persona 3 or Persona 5's soundtrack over the other. That said, if I had to rank them according to my preferences, I'd take Persona 3's track list over Persona 5's, but it's by such a tiny margin that you really can't go wrong with either. Released at the same time, they really are companion pieces, representing the very best music from their respective games, while featuring rhythm gameplay that can be tweaked to your liking. With tons, and I mean tons of modifiers here to tweak the gameplay to your preference, along with the iconic cast of characters represented from each game with multiple costumes to select for each, this game is just a good time. While I wish both Starlight and Moonlight contained a story mode similar to that of Persona 4 Dancing All Night, of which we'll get into later, there is something to be said about the charm regarding each character's social link-like character interactions that take place throughout these games. It's nice to see these characters just relax and let loose, as some of the more reserved characters in these games, like Persona 3's Fuka and Persona 5's Haru, show sides of themselves here that you definitely do not see in their mainline counterparts. Being able to visit each member's room in full 3D is also a cool addition, rounding out these games as solid rhythm games with lots of charm and heaping doses of fan service. As far as spin-offs go, these could have turned out much, much worse. Just a notch above the previous rhythm games is the one that started it all back on the PlayStation Vita, the OG Persona rhythm game, Persona 4 Dancing All Night. Much like the Persona 3 and 5 rhythm game duology that came years later, Persona 4 Dancing All Night is the one that introduced the Persona rhythm gameplay, and just like the others, you can tweak the gameplay to your liking here in many of the same ways. Featuring a greatest hits compilation of Persona 4 tunes from the mainline game and its other spin-offs, I feel like this game's soundtrack feels a bit more well-rounded, simply because this game accounted for some tracks from the other Persona 4 spin-offs, of which there were a few that released by the time this game was out. In addition, it contained a fully voiced campaign, featuring a continuation of the events after the original Persona 4 storyline. While I wouldn't give this story mode awards for its writing, the fact that the devs included one here at all is honestly pretty awesome, and it makes me wish that the other Persona rhythm games that came after it included a mode like this as well. Fans who enjoyed Persona 4 will definitely enjoy this game, even more so if that game's soundtrack appealed to you. And it's because of this game's more robust campaign offering why I'm ranking this above the other rhythm entries. They are all really neck and neck though, so if you like Persona and their soundtracks along with rhythm games, you really can't go wrong with any of them. Coming in portably, we've got the tough as nails Persona Q Shadow of the Labyrinth. Released exclusively for the 3DS back in 2014, this game is the result of Etrian Odyssey and Persona having a baby. You've got an increased focus on first-person dungeon crawling mixed with combat featuring the casts of Personas 3 and 4 in this baby, and for the most part, this game really sticks its landing. The highlight here is the crossover with the Persona 3 and Persona 4 cast, with each member appropriately showcasing their unique abilities and charms, both in the narrative and in combat settings. I do wish that the new characters introduced in this game, Zen and Rei, had less of an appearance here, as they kind of take precedence over the rest of the cast, but honestly, just having both Persona 3 and 4's cast here in one game is really awesome, and it helps that the gameplay here, for the most part, is really enjoyable. I just want to say that I've never played an Etrian Odyssey game before, as Persona Q is very much as much a crossover between Personas 3 and 4 as it is with Etrian Odyssey, but you'll find yourself right at home here with the combat, as it mostly follows the Persona series turn-based systems, albeit with a bit more strategy here. Being able to assemble parties of 5 with different orientations, you've got series staples like standard attacks, skills, and personas at your disposal. But the kicker here really lies in the dungeon traversal. The dungeons are absolutely massive, so keeping track of where you are by using the bottom screen to map your way is essential if you ever want to avoid feeling like you're playing a Lost in the Woods simulator. This is also, in my opinion, the game's biggest downside, because the dungeons can really become monotonous after a while. Their sheer length and the high frequency of enemy encounters is what makes the gameplay here feel a bit more cumbersome than it needs to, so bear that in mind. If you have ever played Persona 1, you'll know what I mean, but in general, this game is great and the soundtrack absolutely slaps here. It's a celebration of both Personas 3 and 4 while also incorporating the gameplay of Etrian Odyssey, and while it can feel a bit monotonous at times, this game is still a great time, and one that I think would greatly benefit from a modern port so that more people can enjoy the uniqueness that is the Persona Q series. While Persona Q contains a lot of similar combat elements from the mainline Persona series, we really start to see it diverge a bit with our next entry, Persona 5 Tactica. I'll start by saying I really appreciate this game. It really speaks to the quality of these spin-offs that they are also very different from one another, spanning completely different genres, yet they pull off their respective genres so well that you think that the developers had been making these games for years and years. There are great games in the turn-based tactical genre. Some that come to mind are XCOM 2, the Mario and Rabbids games, and the Civilization series to name but a few, and while Tactica may not be as content-rich nor as deep as these other titles, Atlus has pulled off the essence of the genre remarkably well here. While this spin-off is decidedly more cartoony looking than the rest, and some may even consider it a bit childish, don't let its visuals fool you, because there is a solid game in here with its compelling grid-based navigation, turn-based battles, weapon ability system, persona summoning, and tactical gameplay. I particularly like the bold decision that this game's narrative takes place real close to the ending of Persona 5, making it a canon plot within the Persona 5 story arc, as most Persona spin-offs take place after their respective mainline titles. Tactica is really an awesome excuse to get back together with the Phantom Thieves, while also participating in compelling tactical combat with Persona flair. I honestly can't recommend this game enough, and I am pleased that Atlus made the bold decision to try something new here, and while it obviously doesn't hit the insane high notes of Persona 5 and Persona 5 Royal, Tactica is a darn good time, made even better if you like tactical RPGs. Coming in at number 4, we have Persona Q2 New Cinema Labyrinth. This game is in every way a better game than the one that came before it in Persona Q Shadow of the Labyrinth. Not only do the excellent cast of Personas 3 and 4 return here, but we also have the Phantom Thieves from Persona 5 here as well. Not only that, Kotone, the female protagonist of Persona 3 Portable, is here as well. So if you loved the crossover from the cast in the previous game, you will greatly enjoy what's here in the second one. Everything here is tightened up. You've got expanded combat with more team-up moves, persona fusions, and parties to assemble due to the expanded roster, in addition to much better designed dungeons with less frequent enemy encounters compared to the first game. This game also just oozes with style and polish, as this game kind of served as the swan song to the 3DS, having been released in 2019 worldwide and in 2018 in Japan. If you ever wanted a game featuring the 3 main Persona casts with proper time dedicated to these lovable characters instead of an overexposure to new characters, this is the one for you. I really hope this game, just like Persona Q before it, gets a remaster, because this game, I imagine, would sell quite well, considering how much more popular Persona is now. Fingers crossed Atlus considers porting these games over to more platforms, because this game just slaps. Alright, we are in the top 3 of Persona spin-off titles, so any of these games going forward represent, in my opinion, the pinnacle of quality from these spin-offs, and are big recommendations in my book. If you are enjoying this video so far, remember to slash the like button, and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy Persona, as we cover the series in all its glory here on this channel, along with other big franchises. I appreciate you all, and I thank you for your continued support, but enough about that, let's get on with the ranking. Alright, so for the number 3 slot, I have to give it to Persona 4 Arena Ultimax, and more specifically, the Steam, Switch, and PS4 editions of the game in Persona 4 Arena Ultimax Ultra Suplex Hold. This game contains all the content of the original Persona 4 Arena and Persona 4 Arena Ultimax, containing both games' story modes, fighters, maps, DLC, and more, making this edition of the game the definitive Persona 4 Arena game, and thus renders the original Persona 4 Arena obsolete. This game just kicks so much ass. Like Persona Q Shadow of the Labyrinth, Arena Ultimax stars the casts of both Personas 3 and 4 in stylish 2D battles across each of the game's most iconic locations. With each character containing their iconic personas along with the fighting moves from their respective mainline entries, these characters' personalities are on full display here and provides chaotic fun with incredible depth to its combat. Being co-developed by Arc System Works, best known for the Guilty Gear series, Arena Ultimax contains some of the best animation and fighting systems in the realm of 2D fighters, and better yet, you can take the fight online to test your might against fighters around the world. While the story modes for P4 Arena and P4 Arena Ultimax are definitely nothing special here, it is nice that they're included in this package, and further highlights the incredible value in this game. It really is a great fighter, checking the boxes of what makes a fighting game great with an expansive roster of characters from some of the greatest casts of RPGs, containing incredible artwork within the characters, animations, and stage designs, sporting truly exceptional music, all with easy to pick up combat mechanics with an incredibly high skill ceiling for those wanting to truly excel at the game. It's not only a competent fighter on its own, but easily one of the greatest Persona spin-offs of all time. Alright, this game is pretty good. Really good even. And this is coming from a person who has never touched a gacha game before this one, let alone put in much time into free-to-play games, outside of the 1,000 plus hours I've put into Rocket League since 2015. That's right, the newest Persona spin-off, having been available in select Asian countries last year and just recently available worldwide, we have Persona 5 The Phantom X, currently available on Steam and mobile. I came into this one with low expectations, since it wasn't primarily made by Atlus, and the free-to-play model didn't indicate to me that it would be a highly polished game. But man, oh man, as someone who hasn't spent a single dime on this game's microtransactions, I've been really liking it. And I think essentially what happened here is that this game straight up exceeded my admittedly low expectations for it. This game isn't for everyone, mind you, but if you treat it as an extension of the Persona 5 universe and come in with an openness to see what's on offer, you might be pleasantly surprised. Sporting tons of new characters, along with some appearances from the Phantom Thieves of Persona 5 themselves, there's solid writing to get the game moving, and some fun villains and recruitable characters that play out similarly to the flow of mainline Persona games. Putting away my gripes of the gacha elements, like rolling to get random characters, which actually took me out of it a little bit by having obtained the first 2 party members prior to getting them in the story due to the gacha elements, it does a pretty good job of recreating the best parts of Persona 5, introducing enticing new stories and palaces into an already established universe. The compelling personal connections each new party member has to the strange new villain early on, along with the stellar battle animations we've come to love from the mainline series, and new minigames that add further elements to the core Persona formula, make it enticing enough to check out, and as a fan of Persona 5, it's really just icing on the cake. The crazy thing is that Persona 5 The Phantom X may not have even been able to exist without the gacha elements, as these elements are pretty baked into the game, even into the narrative and design, but because I believe there is enough compelling content in this game, along with it resembling something so closely to a standard Persona game at times, that I put this game as one of the best Persona spin-offs out there. As of now, you can definitely enjoy all of the content in the game from a story perspective without engaging in the microtransactions, so let's hope it continues that way. And with the developers recently stating that they are going to more hastily release the next story chapters in order for the global English release to catch up with the years-old Asian versions, there's tons, and I mean tons, of content here that you can sink your time into. And again, that's even without spending a single penny on this. It may not be for everyone, but because this is my list and it exceeded my expectations in such a big way and at no cost to me, I'm gonna have to put Persona 5 The Phantom X right near the top of this list. But let me know in the comments what you all think of this game. Because it's constantly updating, this game could get better and conversely worse over time, but let's just hope that this one continues to hit the high marks it's hit right now. And in at number 1, we have Persona 5 Strikers, which is, in my opinion, the GOAT of Persona spin-offs thus far. A crossover between Koei Tecmo's Dynasty Warriors franchise and a continuation of Persona 5, Persona 5 Strikers flawlessly translates the power fantasy of the Dynasty Warriors games while managing to ooze nearly as much style as Persona 5 itself. You've got super fast gameplay that seems simple at first, but contains surprising depth with Persona elements thrown in. Each character here is truly unique, all carrying with them their own strengths and weaknesses. But for as great as the gameplay is here, and its bosses, man, the bosses here are really good. It's the story and the overall vibe of this game that really elevates the entire experience. If you like Persona 5 and its cast, then imagine going on a road trip with them over summer vacation. This is literally what the game is. A road trip across Japan with your best friends, stopping at various cities across the country, like the bustling streets of Osaka, visiting the northern reaches of Hokkaido, and the stunning island coastline of Okinawa and beyond. This game really is such an awesome continuation of the Persona 5 storyline by recreating much of the magic that mainline game had. It's more time with the Persona 5 cast here, along with 2 new characters added to the mix that are honestly pretty well written that fit right into the narrative like a glove. It's because of this time with the Phantom Thieves, in addition to its true sequel-like nature to it from a story perspective, why I have this game ranked higher than Persona 5 The Phantom X. Where P5X does a great job of recreating some familiar gameplay and elements of the core Persona experience, yet tailored to a free-to-play gacha format, Persona 5 Strikers feels a bit more premium here. The story feels complete and values your time. The new areas introduced feel significant and a joy to explore, and man, this game is just pure fun. Strikers is the real deal. It's got an amazing combat system that contains nearly as much style as Persona 5, along with great palace design and incredible multi-phase boss fights, incredible music, a solid storyline that takes you across Japan, all while allowing you to explore each region while spending more time with one of the best casts in all of RPGs. There really is a lot to love here, and Persona 5 Strikers gets the highest recommendation, standing proudly as the greatest Persona spin-off title created thus far. Those were a lot of games we just covered, but the awesome thing about the Persona spin-offs is that it seems like each new Persona spin-off continues to look for new genres and experiences to tap into. With Persona 6 releasing in the distant future, there's no doubt that we are likely to see an insane investment in even more Persona spin-offs. So while the sun may be setting on Persona 5 for now, a bright new one is very much ahead of us. Let me know what you think is the best Persona spin-off in the comments below, and be sure to check out this video outlining some of the biggest leaks in Persona 6, examining how these leaks, if true, will elevate the Persona series even higher as it shows the industry how it's done. Thank you for your support, and I will see you all real soon in the next one.